Before we dive in, here's another show you can enjoy in the True Story FM family of entertainment podcasts.
Well, howdy folks, my name is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I'm Keenan Diaz.
And we're the hosts of The Exorcist Minute, a show where we examine, extrapolate, and excavate the scariest movie of all time.
Each episode covers a single minute of William Friedkin's 1973 horror masterpiece, The Exorcist.
If you like deep dives, this show is the deepest.
Did you know the film's iconic theme song, Tubular Bells, wasn't written specifically for the movie?
Or that the 1973 audience members were throwing up and fainting in the theater before they ever got a glimpse of the demon?
What about all the crazy on-set mishaps, cast injuries, the director firing real guns?
Ooh. Ever wonder where Ouija boards came from or how they got their name? How about some history on the Catholic Church or the Roman rite of exorcism? Or maybe we can tempt you with some juicy demonology lore. Did you know that Pazuzu had an ex-wife? Find The Exorcist Minute on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to your shows or at theexorcistminute.com. Until next time, folks,
the power of The Exorcist compels you.
Ever wonder what bridges the gap between your favorite film genres, subgenres, and movements? CinemaScope is here to explore these connections, taking you on a thrilling odyssey through the ever-evolving art of cinema. I'm your host, Andy Nelson, and in each episode, we embark on a deep dive into the forces that sculpt the world of film. From the styles you know and love, like heist films or the French New Wave, to the ones you may not be as familiar with, like Turkish Yeşilçam or Brazilian Nordwesterns, my expert guests and I unravel the complex tapestry of storytelling, style, and innovation that defines the world of film as we unpack the myriad catalysts of change that shape these diverse styles. Whether you're a student of film, a creative professional, or simply a devoted movie enthusiast, CinemaScope is your gateway to a richer, more immersive film experience. Don't just watch movies, understand them, appreciate them, and revel in their artistry with CinemaScope. Subscribe today.
All the Feelings presents Sins and Virtues. This episode:
kindness, patience.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Pete, from the podcast, and that's Tom, also podcasting, and we're thrilled to be here patiently and kindly for our last major episode of this season.
All the sins, all the virtues, one place, Pete. I mean, we haven't. We still got two. We got two big ones, and we decided to do a two-fer today. Mm-hmm. Why is that again? Oh, right, because neither of us could add.
Because neither of us could add, and we got to the end, and I think it was, our choice was, we could always do 13 episodes, and you said, nope, we do 12. That's all we do ever.
Really?
We do 12.
Really put my...
I'm
just thinking of the fans. The people will revolt.
If there's an extra episode,
100%. What will we do? It's the one line that's keeping us here in Democracy Safe.
If we break the 9-12, we end up making a 1,000-episode season, and that would be unsettling.
We wouldn't know when to turn off, and then we would just like Feeling Friends would see us, and we'd have big long beards. Well, that's you during the winter, I guess. I would have a big long beard.
Yeah.
Foster would have a big long beard.
Can you grow a real big long beard?
I don't think so. I don't know. I bet it'd be patchy as heck.
What would I give to see you in a beard? AI, make him a beard.
That breaks AI. Cannot imagine not enough testosterone. Oh, you know what? That seemed like a little. I was doing my impression of a robot. Should we start this process and kick things off by talking about today? We are talking about kindness and patience, or patience and kindness. I say we throw to our good friend Robot. Robot, please define kindness.
Kindness, noun, the quality or state of being kind.
Oh, yep. Fair enough. I did not see that one coming. Okay, please define kind.
Kind, adjective, of a sympathetic or helpful nature, arising from or characterized by sympathy or forbearance.
Perfect. Now let's close it off. Please define patience, and we'll get started.
Patience, noun, the capacity, habit, or fact of being patient.
Okay, I should have definitely seen that coming. Robot, you understand that I don't want you to define words by using the same words, right?
Of course.
Okay, well then please, Robot, please define patient.
Patient, noun, an individual awaiting or under medical care and treatment.
Yeah. Okay. Now I see what's happening here. Is there an adjective near there?
Mm, patient. Adjective. Bearing pains or trials calmly or without complaint, steadfast despite opposition, difficulty, or adversity.
Great. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks, robot. Where do
That
you
was an
go in the off
excellent,
season?
excellent exercise, though, don't you think? In
It
the
was.
world of AI, we
Yes.
just really are crushing it.
Yeah, we are going to find a new draft of that next time. All right. So, patience and kindness. Pete, where do you want to start? Where would you like to start?
I want to know what you think about when you think of patience and kindness. Like, especially right now, and I'm going to date us, right? I'm going to date us probably pretty hardcore because as we record this, we've wrapped up the Chicago DNC.
Right.
And have you watched any of it?
I did. I watched quite a bit of it. And I was surprised they didn't get the Hawk to girl. I'm further dating us. I was assuming that the Hawk to girl would be all over the DNC, but nope.
Nope.
She's
What was your take on the general tone and tenor of the DNC? It's a loaded question.
Of course, it seems so optimistic and it seems so rallying. It's really energizing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like, I mean, I liked it a little bit more before people started using their speeches to criticize the other side. I liked it when it was just more of a, I know this is not Harris's thing, but more of a yes, we can, less of a no, they can't, and here's why. I get it. They've been poking fun at the other side for a lot, so they have it coming. But still, I like it when it's just straight up positivity and here's what we're going to do and here's how we can do it. With that in mind, you asked, what do I think about kindness and patience? I think if you had to boil everything down, these are the two things that I think are the most important for what we always need and what we need now. Because if you have kindness and patience, everything else seems like it falls in line. I mean, you can keep a little bit of lust on the side. But like kindness and patience, like kind of by definition cancels so much bad stuff out. So it's a nice time to have that.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, the watching just the clips that seem to have resonated out of the DNC, the clips of Waltz's son crying in the audience. And I mean, those kinds of things I find really moving and motivating in a way that the antithesis of those feelings do not, right?
Right.
It's harder to motivate in response to rage and
that's
hate.
interesting. Right. Yeah, that if and we won't say who, I don't even remember which side it was, but just continually saying we're a nation in decline, everybody's in trouble, nobody's safe, that starts to get really numbing.
Yeah.
Or it has for me, like I'm just not even hearing those words. And instead I am on this surge of positivity, which is really interesting and exciting. And I hope
it is interesting.
Yeah. That is, I like what you just said though. I in my desperate effort to hear my voice, I just started immediately talking. I like that you say that usually you would think that fear would be the bigger motivator. And I think for a long time it was, that it has been. It worked, for lack of a better word. Fear works. I'm still on green. But maybe that button can only be pushed so long and then it just doesn't work anymore because nothing has burned down. I am fine.
Right.
My nation is not in decline. And I was just outside on a walk. I didn't catch fire once. Like, it's just not like that.
I was not robbed or murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
I still take water out to traffic accidents at the corner. Like they're just, we're okay.
Yeah.
I think that is the most interesting perspective is when when your worldview runs headlong into a contrasting ideology. Right. Like what we're hearing is one thing, what we experience is something completely different. And I can choose to believe what I experience or believe what I hear.
Yeah.
But when you can't rationalize those two things, I think you run into just confusion. And I have less confusion in some of the messaging that I'm hearing now from Chicago. So, patience traditionally seen as the ability to endure difficult circumstances. According to the histories, Circumstances include delay, provocation, or adversity without becoming annoyed or upset. It's
Mm,
often associated with forbearance, perseverance, and the ability to wait calmly. So,
okay.
I'm interested in some of those words because that's not necessarily, I mean, we look at patience, the capacity or habit or fact of being patient,
Right.
bearing pains or trials calmly without complaint, right?
Right.
I I think I think those things are in alignment, but that's never what I think about when I think of patience. When I think of patience, I think about, oh, I need to chill out because someone's late.
Right. Yeah. This line, someone
Yeah.
just remembered their print coupons and they're hidden somewhere deep in their
Yes.
purse, and I'm already line committed, so I'm not going to go
I'm
somewhere
line
else.
committed.
Yeah.
That's totally it. And not, oh my gosh, I'm being provoked, right? Patience is not the thing I call on if somebody's, trying to get at me.
No,
Is
no,
it?
I see what you're saying. No, it's not the way that I think of it. That would be more restraint,
Yeah, but that's not a
I would think.
heavenly virtue,
Mm,
restraint.
no, but that's yeah. I feel that patient is a very passive reaction to a fairly passive situation. It's more just like it's not holding yourself back from beating someone up. It's just try not to get so annoyed at Ralph's. Like that's it. Can you tell that I spend too much time at Ralph's?
You
All my
spend a lot
stories
of
have to
time
do
at
with
Ralph's,
people.
yeah. I What's interesting about what you said this is that
Yeah.
patience doesn't necessarily have to be a passive response. Patience isn't just standing there. Patience can be an active internal journey to do something which is not get provoked, right? Like
Okay.
what happens if patience becomes active?
What would be an example? Because and then how does that differ from restraint?
Well, maybe it's all in the same,
Okay.
like maybe it's all
Yeah.
in the same bucket, but
So I'm
but
just
that's and maybe
de-emphasizing.
that's what
Yeah.
it is. That I think that I feel like mindfulness, right? Then it becomes
Right.
mindfully aware of where I am in space and the interactions that I have with people around me. And I can exacerbate difficult situations by
Right.
being aggressive, or I can actively choose not to act
Yep.
in a way that would make things worse.
Which
I
is
think that's the
also
interesting thing about
a
it.
type of kindness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So kindness, another of the heavenly virtues. Um, I mean, kindness, friendliness, consideration. It is seen as the antidote to envy, and it is
Oh,
really a central theme in many religious teachings. Right,
sure.
like this. It's a it's a banger
Yeah.
in spiritual
It's
circles,
one
is
of the
what they
greatest
call
hits.
that. That
Yeah.
that's what the Pope says. It's
Okay.
kindness is a banger. Um, the
And I
interesting thing
say
about
kindness
kindness
slaps. Yeah.
unto you,
Yeah.
um, throughout history, kindness has been used to foster community and social cohesion.
Foster. Yep.
What do you think about that? Like social cohesion, it encourages people to act selflessly and consider the well-being of others.
Well,
I don't
it's
I
exactly
don't
what
think
you were
about that.
talking about of fear only works so long. That you
Yeah,
can scare people into doing something, or if you're nice to them, hopefully that will cause more empathy, and that just spreads and spreads
yeah.
because you are forced to realize it's not just you against the world.
How then do you see kindness and patience, the dynamic duo of passive goodwill?
Yep.
How do you see these things motivating and constraining modern culture?
I think it happens a lot more than we think it does.
Hmm.
And I also think that showing a TikTok of someone being quiet and kind isn't as interesting as showing someone screaming at someone else in an airport. And so
Yeah,
it makes it seem like society is coming apart at the seams all the time. And it's just really not.
yeah,
There's something kind of nicely boring about being just sort of everyday positive. You don't have to be running around like Mr. Beast and buying Hummers for people. I
hmm.
don't I don't actually know who Mr. Beast is. Does he like give away a bunch of money or
He
something?
giveaway a bunch of
He
stuff.
gives
Yeah,
away.
he's
So that's
a big
wonderful, but
giveaway
you
boy.
don't even have to do that because that is such a concentrated thing. But one of the things, speaking of patience, and if we're saying that kindness is an offset of this, that I've been really trying to explore recently, not just because of this episode, is I guess it's mindfulness. Ugh, I don't know, like saying that word in myself. I don't seem like a very mindful person, but is when I start to feel impatient or start to feel like I'm getting frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
to step outside of it and go, wait, am I actually frustrated or am I just thinking I should be frustrated? Meaning, just because this line, someone butt in front of me, is that really making a deal, or is my sense of weird justice making it seem like I have the right to be mad, so I should be mad? Or who cares? Do I really, really feel this emotion, or is it just that that I'm afraid I'm supposed to feel it? Ugh. I'm making it into a riddle. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
What's interesting is I think you're actually describing Vipassana. Have you ever heard
What?
of Vipassana?
No. What? Vipassana? Can you spell it?
Vipassana.
Can you
Can I spell Vipassana?
Yeah.
Vipassana.
Oh, I guess I don't know if you're right or not.
Misssippi.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
So Vipassana is an ancient Indian meditation technique.
Okay.
Okay, and it's I mean, like 2,500 years old. This thing, Vipassana, and it is a practice of transformation through self-observation, or just general observation of
Yep.
the world. So it focuses on the deep connection between mind and body, and curiosity about that experience and what you're seeing, what you're taking in from your senses. And it encourages exploration there. So Vipassana meditation is a meditation of curiosity. I interviewed a Vipassana expert on a different show, and it was fascinating because on the surface is like I could not, I had a really difficult time not relating it to Seinfeld. So Vipassana is about nothing, right? Like you're just doing nothing, right? You're just sitting and just looking around and doing nothing. But what's interesting about it is he started with a fascinating example that really works for me. So say you're laying in bed late one night. And I don't know why I laughed at that. I was about to make some sort of weird joke. It wasn't going to be funny, and so I derailed. I like ran out of runway.
Yeah.
So you're laying in bed one night and you get an itch, and it's on the bottom of your foot. Now, you might naturally be drawn to lift your foot up and start scratching it, or get up and walk around. It's the unscratchable itch. Maybe it's an itch below a callus. You know, those are impossible to resolve. But what if you stop and you say something more like, that's an itch. I wonder why the nerve is acting up there. I'm curious about that. I'm thinking, actually, I'm observing my experience of having that itch. What does it make me want to do? Well, it likely would make me want to reach my foot up and scratch it, but I don't. What if I just see where the itch is going? What if I just wait? What if I do nothing and just observe? I'll be damned, Tom. The itch goes away. Right? The itch runs its course.
Right.
And I look at what you're describing, that sort of observational nature of like introspection and curiosity, is this sort of Vipassana approach to kindness, right? And to patience.
Right.
It is, I'm going to look at the world curiously, and but through that curiosity, I'm going to attempt to understand it in a new way. And I think that's really fascinating. I think that's really. I'm also now making a riddle, I think, but I think it's fascinating.
No, that all makes 1,000% sense, and I like that there's a word for what that is. I'm just, that's the kind of thing I'm trying to do, not about that whole itch thing. That would make anyone insufferable. What if you had to say all of that out loud? And now the toe, and your partner's like, okay, Steve.
Well,
but the idea of someone is looking at their phone at a stoplight, doesn't see that the light changed. You give a little beep, beep, and then they go, but then you aren't allowed to go through the light.
Yes.
Your first reaction is, come on, this is unjust. And this is, but then that's what I'm catching myself right away. And more is, oh, I don't care. Like, I'm not late. One light cycle is not going to change anything. I'm sitting in an air-conditioned car listening to a podcast. Just because something didn't go exactly as it was supposed to be doesn't mean that I need to react or be upset by it, because it's fine.
Yeah,
It's just
because
not
it's
that big of
fine.
a deal. Yeah.
I start thinking like this entire sort of approach is something that gets me thinking about, okay, what if we are curious about that situation?
Mhm.
My response normally might be, ugh, I'm mad, like you said, unjust. But what I could be saying is, wow, I wonder what's going on in that car
Right.
that caused them not to pay attention. I hope they're okay.
Right.
Right. And that's the kind and patient approach that says, I'm sacrificing my current experience and I'm selflessly now trying to be aware of the world around me in a way that's kind and patient, and letting it go.
Yeah,
Traffic
I can't
sucks.
hear what was going on in that car. There could have been 2 small kids screaming in the background, and the parent was just trying to get a moment of peace on their phone, or they had just been poisoned and were trying to call the hospital. And I'm like, beep, beep.
Exactly. Yeah, you're the ass who doesn't recognize that they've just been poisoned by a Russian spy.
Yeah, exactly.
I just read that in a Jean Le Carré book, and I'm sure that's happening on the streets of Burbank, right? Wherever you happen to be driving, you Hollywood mogul, you. So anyhow, I think that's really interesting. Now, look at this is the cultural thing that got me thinking. Look at like the civil rights movement, right? I don't want to talk about, any specific sides. I'm pro civil rights. It's really great.
Yeah, I think we can be on the record.
Civil rights is great. That's not the point. The point is, look at the riots. Look at any of the riots where you have lines of police, and you get the students or protesters throwing rocks and bottles and Molotov cocktails at the lines of authority, and they're trying to, and there's conflict in the streets, right? We recognize that's an unkind situation, and perspectives of each side recognize the other side as unkind, right? And we all relate, I think, because of the noisy culture that we're in, that this is a horrific situation and we should not have gotten to this point. And yet, you see a commercial that displays the scene of a riot, and you get a child going up to a police officer and handing them a Coke. And it becomes the joke that, lasted for ages.
Yep. And it was Pepsi.
Okay.
I know exactly the ad that you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know the name of the ad executive who was immediately fired.
Okay. This is the point. That ad, it comes from a massive corporate industrialist advertising machine. I get it, right? But also, it's an ad with a message of kindness, and it became a joke to the Vox Populi immediately.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I agree with the Vox Populi in this one, because it wasn't genuine. It was using people's emotions. People were really fighting for rights and feeling discriminated on by police. And someone thought that a good idea was to try to sell soda for it. It trivializes it.
Yeah.
There's something that it trivializes it too much, that it's not genuine. There is no empathy. You have a model stepping off of getting her hair done, walk across the street and hand a Pepsi to someone who probably was just clubbing someone in the back alley, and everyone is like, thanks, soda. That's gross. I hate it.
See, I
love
agree
kindness, but I mean, that's just not the way to do it. That seems like fake. What's a word for fake kindness? It's virtual
disingenuity.
Disingenuity. Right? Yeah. That hurts more than just not having that there, or showing two people like sharing a Pepsi in a hospital waiting room, like after being beaten by the police. Like that would make me identify with Pepsi a little bit more, because at least it's putting things in perspective.
It's so interesting because I totally agree with you. And I think that is the general sense. But what it tells me is that the eighth sin should be like capitalism.
Right.
Because we don't understand the other virtues if this is our answer to kindness, if this is how we're going to try and display what genuine acts of kindness are.
Right.
Right. And I think that's the thing that sort of, I don't know, that hurts. That's the thing that hurts.
Yeah, I
that
agree.
Causes me to be reflective is the gap. So, I mean, patience and kindness, my usual drill. What is it that motivates, positive behavior and constrains negative behavior? We got a lot of kindness-focused campaigns that aim to redefine social norms, to reduce aggression and conflict in communities. Promoting patience as a virtue discourages road rage and impulsive acts of anger, right? These are things that tend to work, tend to start early and model good behavior at home and at school. Most importantly, at home, actually sort of allows kids to rewire their brains and become young adults that actually display these virtues. So I think I think this stuff is really interesting. And the biggest challenge of thinking about like patience and kindness is that we don't think about patience and kindness enough as the things that they are. We go about saying, be kind, be patient. And that is just, that is not introspection. That's not teaching each other what it means to be kind and patient.
It's just words, you're saying.
It's just words.
Sure.
It's just words. It's just like telling people what to do without background. And I'm saying that as a parent, like and it makes me reflect on the times that I've said, you have to be kind at school without actually saying, what does it look like to be kind? Because I assume everybody already knows. When in fact, what just reading about it this week has told me, I often don't really know what the kind answer is to a particular conflict situation.
When was one of the last times you caught yourself being impatient? And caught yourself meaning like you had I'm doing this, like what I'm talking about, more of like a Vipassana.
Vipassana.
I tried to write it down.
Vipassana.
Okay. Vipassana reaction. Do you know? Do you remember?
Yeah. No, because it was like 45 minutes ago.
No.
No, we've been recording for 45 minutes, so it probably 90 minutes ago. Because I've had a morning filled with just busyness, and that causes a lot of anxiety. Like, when am I going to meet the next day? I had to call you and say, hey, I need to push a little bit because I'm not ready, and it's because my day's out of hand. I felt bad about that. I was not being kind nor patient to myself, right? Like and we've talked about it before. Like the worst self-talk, like the worst insults you'll ever hear are the insults you use on yourself. And and like that's just a thing I'm always working on. And having to stop, and I really did. I stopped before we came online when I wrote to you and I said I'm ready, and I thought, Tom is a calming factor in my life. I'm going to be ready for that. Like, I'm going to come in open to not being triggered or angry or impatient, and just ready to like laugh and talk about these things, and curious about whatever comes next, not anxious that I haven't done enough or I'm not ready enough, or that. Just curious. If I could just be curious about what comes next in this show, it'll be fine.
I love that. And because I learned that maybe your patience would have been running a little bit low, or your kindness like this, I started the process of getting ready to record 45 minutes before you showed up, because of course my mic didn't work and I couldn't open the computer and the volume was down. Like, I started that process last night so I could be ready for you. So I'm just curious that I'm still alive.
Real calming factor. Real calming factor. And now, The Patience of Ordinary Things by Pat Schneider.
It is a kind of love, is it not? How the cup holds the tea, how the chair stands sturdy and foursquare, how the floor receives the bottom of shoes. Or toes, how soles of feet know where they're supposed to be. I've been thinking about the patience of ordinary things, how clothes wait respectfully in closets, and soap dries quietly in the dish, and towels drink the wet from the skin of the back and the lovely repetition of stairs. And what is more generous than a window?
It was the summer of 1939. War loomed on the horizon as a shadow crept across Europe. In a dimly lit office in Whitehall, London, a group of civil servants toiled away on a top-secret mission. Their task, to create a series of posters to bolster the morale of the British people in the event of invasion. 3 designs were chosen, each bearing a simple yet stirring phrase and the symbolic Tudor crown. The first poster urged, "Freedom is in peril. Defend it with all your might." The second, "Your courage, your cheerfulness, your resolution will bring us victory." And the third, well, the third would remain shrouded in mystery for years to come. As the summer waned and war broke out, the first 2 posters were distributed across the country and plastered on billboards and windows. But the third poster, with its now famous phrase, was never officially sanctioned for public display. Over 2 million copies were printed, only to disappear into the dusty archives of history. The few that made their way into shop windows and government offices were soon forgotten as the war raged on. Some say the design was too similar to the other 2 posters. Others claim it was held back in anticipation of a German invasion that never came to pass. Whatever the reason, the poster and its message faded into obscurity as the paper was pulped and recycled to aid the war effort. For over 60 years, only a handful of original copies survived, tucked away in attics and closets, unaware of the power their simple message would one day hold. That is, until one serendipitous day in the year 2000 at a small second-hand bookshop in northeast England. The shop owner was sorting through a box of dusty old books when a flash of red caught his eye amidst the yellowed pages. As he pulled out the small poster, he couldn't help but chuckle at the irony of the simple yet apropos phrase printed in bold, white letters. "It's wine o'clock somewhere." I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It actually read, "Live, laugh, love." I did it again. I totally had you. This is a riot. No, it was the "Keep Calm and Carry On" poster. You know the one, because it's on a mug sitting in the People Also Bought section on Amazon, where you look for "World's Second Best Lawyer" tumbler. Not a joke. Anyway, little did he know, the stoic British wartime slogan that had been lost to time would go on to become a cultural phenomenon, a reminder to stay strong in the face of adversity and stay patient for the long fight ahead. What began as a failed wartime propaganda campaign has now inspired countless generations to do just that. Keep calm and carry on and laugh and love and drink too. Want to join a club that doesn't even need a wartime slogan to be cool? Become a feeling friend today. For just $35, you can get your patriotic jolt of the old-fashioned way, knowing that you're a supporter of this season of All the Feelings. Plus, you'll get access to your very own member-only podcast feed, chock full of member-only extended editions of our episodes, member-only episodes, our trailer archive, just so much stuff. So jump in now, support the season, and know you're also supporting us and our continuing efforts to launch our own political party, the Anxietatem Party, under the banner of the Ostrich. This week's update, look for our new wartime poster, "Always Aware, Never Prepared." Visit allthefeelings.fun to show your wartime support today.
A little patience. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Need a little patience. Yeah. Just a little patience. Yeah? some more patience. Yeah.
G.N. Roses.
Pete?
Live, laugh, love, Tom.
Live, laugh, love, Pete. That's going to be our, and unto you. It'll always be like, yes.
Yes.
Pete, live, laugh, love, wine o'clock. Pete, I want to tell you a tale that I've told before. I've told you before. Oh,
good.
But
the
not on
kids
this podcast.
love repetition. Oh, okay.
Not on this podcast.
All right.
Or as far as I can remember, not on any podcast. And there's a chance I told it on this podcast because we stopped writing down on Coda all the things we talk about. We stopped doing that a long time ago, and that was a mistake.
Huge mistake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you may remember as the story is going along that it sounds familiar, but I want to tell it in a different light. Are you intrigued?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And harrowed?
Well, I was going to say this story can be best described in one word. Harrowing, Pete. Harrowing. Actually, for once, that's actually not true. What could have been harrowing was rendered relatively harrowless, if that's a word, by the two topics we're discussing today, kindness and patience, and the new word that I just learned, Vipassana. What is it? Vipassana? That's too many syllables. Vipassana. Vipassana. It's Vipassana. Okay, let's dive in.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me begin by setting the scene. I'm going to move this over here. For this harrowish tale, we are going all the way back to November 27th, 2023, Pete. Ooh. To put this bygone era in perspective, the number one song on the Billboard charts was Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift. And the number one movie in the country was The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And for me, Pete...
That's still in the dollar theaters, Tom.
100%. This was not very long ago. I just wanted to say Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. As for me, on that day, I received a call. Did I answer the call? No. What am I, a sociopath? I didn't recognize the number, so I immediately sent it to voicemail. And I listened to it later that day, and there was a pleasant but bored-sounding man who said they were calling from the LADWP. That's the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. They keep the lights on and the water a-flowing. He said that they had noticed that my bill was, quote, a little higher than normal this cycle, and that if I wanted it to be helpful, if I wanted any helpful hints on how to reduce my electrical usage, I should call them. I was like, well, that's nice of them. I thought, I wonder how much higher it could have been. So I hopped online to check. Pete, as you know, and our avid listeners know, I live in a one-bedroom apartment with my dog, and I pay my water electric bill every 2 months. Is that how you do it? Is it every month or every 2 months? I don't know if that's universal. That's how they do it.
I think ours is every 2 months.
Every 2 months?
Yeah.
And my average bill is around $180. I don't honestly know if that's a lot or a little. It goes up in the summer because the San Fernando Valley is built on the sun, but it's usually about $180. And so I got that nice calm message from that nice calm man, and it was going a little bit over. I was guessing what, maybe 250, 260.
Sure.
What do you think would warrant a call saying that it went a little bit higher, Pete? Do you want to guess?
1,200.
Well, I wish you hadn't done that. Guess again, but smaller.
600.
$1,044. That's just under 6 times more than my average bill. And that guy called to see if I wanted any tips. Pete, this is not where you get... What was his tip going to be? I'm trying to imagine...
Like, do you want us to send an ambulance because you might be drowning in the water we're pumping into your apartment?
Yeah, like, sir, have you tried unplugging 8 of the 9 refrigerators you just bought? Like, I couldn't understand what tip... Like, don't use all 300 of the electric blankets you just got from Amazon. So obviously the meter reader guy read the meter wrong. Or she, my apologies, the meter reader person read the meter wrong. And so I called customer service, and I wait on hold for 48 minutes, Pete. And I know I'm in the right. And I know this is all annoying, and I'm getting a little bit annoyed. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And the hold music, I remember, is somehow insanely loud. Like I turned my phone down, but it's piped in so loud there's distortion. Like it's like...
Yeah.
So it's really hard.
And just so you know, that's about $21 a minute.
Yes.
Based on your bill.
Yes, exactly. I was using my electric phone. And I would crank it up. And every 12 seconds, a voice would come on the line telling me that I was on hold. got it. I'm there. Have you ever had, there's a rash of facilities out here in Los Angeles that they don't say, we'll be right with you. They say, you are currently on hold.
But they don't tell you like what place you are in line.
Not at all. They're just reminding you exactly the purgatory you're in. It's like when I go to an AMC movie theater and there's an ad for, hey, do you want to try AMC? I'm here. I am doing it. So 48 minutes. And I was getting really frustrated. It was, I mean, I turned off my air conditioning because I was afraid that I was going to lose my apartment. And then I tried to change my way of thinking. And guess what it was, Pete? It was Vipassana. Now I know it was Vipassana, because even though I was in the right and was suffering for reasons I didn't deserve, was it really that big of a deal? I was able to just sort of sit back and be like, I didn't have to cancel a meeting to be on hold right now.
Right.
I'm sitting in my incredibly expensive, now I know, apartment, just draining electricity into the ground. And why not just see it for the ridiculousness that it was? So I took a deep breath and just decided to go through it with as much kindness and patience as possible. And this is going to have a reason that this exists.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the next step is I met Janelle. Janelle finally came on the line. And in a bit of a monotone, she introduced herself and asked how she can help. And as cheerfully as I can, I explained that I believe there's a problem with my bill and I'd like to see what the options are to help with it. And with all due respect, Pete, Janelle is ready for me. And I don't mean ready to help me with open arms. I mean, she is ready to explain exactly that the only problem is me and there's nothing to be do about it. And instead of becoming defensive or cutting her off or coming back at her because I was in this Vipassana type of mood, I was like, she just must be yelled at all the time.
All the time.
Everyone calls customer service. Day. No one says, thanks for the water, click. Why would you do that? That's what a crazy person would do. No, she just deals with people. She is like the LADWP customer service must be like every airport person that like sits at the different gates. Like all you're doing is herding cattle,
taking problems
that you did not cause and you were not in charge of. And so obviously her defenses were up very high. So again, patience, kindness, Vipassana. I didn't talk over her, shut her down. I let her say her whole piece. And then I very calmly and very cheerfully asked, do you mind, could you just pull up my bill so we can look at it together? And she starts typing away. I can hear her typing, and she starts a new speech about how bill fluctuations happen, and they're almost always accurate representations of usage. And other than payment plans, there isn't a lot they can do. And whoa, that's what she says. She stops in mid-sentence and goes, whoa. And she says, yeah, that is certainly a jump, huh? And I laugh, and I say, that's why I was calling. And that's when everything turned. This is a very simple Aesop fable involving the LADWP, but because I was patient and kind, she was extremely patient and kind in turn. Here's what she did. She thanked me for my patience. And because I was in such a ridiculous situation, she went out of her way. She said the next step was to have someone come out and reread the meter, but that could take a really long time. And I would keep getting notices about bills. And, I'd be worried about collections. It was hard to jam that up. She said, instead, let's just take care of it together while you're on the phone. She walked me where to go to read the meter. I knew where the meters were, but she helped me find, it's like a blizzard of cords and weird dials and everything. She helped me find my actual meter that belonged to my particular apartment. She had me take a photo of it with my phone and send it directly to her. While I was on the phone, she forwarded it to another department who immediately confirmed that the guy read it wrong. He read it backwards. Yeah. They kind of look like clocks. He read it backwards. So instead of some power, I used all the power. All the power there was. And it got solved that afternoon.
Yeah.
So
you've Vipassana'd your way right through that.
I've Vipassana'd my way through it, but I'm not. This isn't supposed to be a story of, hey, check me out, being a real sweetheart. It was, I guess, a karmic situation that because I didn't. If I went in hot and then she was forced to sort of apologize, and I was like, yeah, you're right, that wouldn't have been solved for a week or two. But instead, she stopped everything. So I think it's just how kindness and patience can be instantly rewarded with more kindness and patience. Kindness and patience seems like something so altruistic, but you also get something from it. Like if you want, if it helps you to be greedy about being kind and patient, fine. As long as it leads to more kindness and patience, whatever you need, whatever weird backflips you need to do, as long as you don't beep back at someone that beeps at you and you're in the wrong and they're in the wrong. I mean, just every day. Don't even get me started at Ralph's. Have I mentioned Ralph's in the last 3 minutes? If we were just all able to just take a deep breath and see the absurdity around us for just that and show kindness and patience, so many things, as we said in the very top of the episode, so many things would fall into place. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's my fable, Pete.
I love that.
I
That was a
almost
great
had to pay a
fable,
bunch
Tom.
of money and then I didn't. It's not that great of a story. But I really wanted to give a shout out to Janelle. I just sort of went through the story again in my head and I'm like, that maybe didn't need to exist. But still, I still live in my apartment and I'm doing great.
And yet I'm going to pitch it to Disney Plus because, you know,
You
they
are.
might want to get a tight 6 episodes out of it.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, do it to Netflix because they'll drag it out to 12. They'll do me staying on hold in real time as a whole episode.
Yes. It'll be experimental, and
Yeah.
that's what'll get people to watch. I think probably kindness is my number one attribute in a human being. I'll put it before any of the things like courage or bravery or generosity or anything else.
Noted racist and adulterer, Roald Dahl. We did it! Peace, sins, and virtues. Down for the count.
Yeah. Can I just ask you before we just tell everybody what the song is? And
Oh,
all
yeah.
That
Oh,
nonsense,
yeah.
Can I just ask you, just as a reflection, what did you think about this season? Do you feel like you learned something?
100%. Because these are words, kind of like you said, kindness and patience are words we use, but we don't think about it. I can put every single episode, every single word on that list. That I would just use the word wrath and not think about it. I would use the word envy, but not think about how it related back in the day to religion. All of those things was really exciting and really fun for me because these are such backbones. We think of them as just 7 deadly sins, but you're really only thinking about the David Fincher movie. You're not thinking about them being sins. And so, yeah, I was really enjoyed this. I thought this was fun. I like themes.
I like themes too, and I think I had 2 big awakenings. One, the number of, well, it's 7 out of 7 pretty much. The number of sins that were used to control people throughout history.
Yeah, yes.
For reasons that were not based in moral fabric, right? They're used to control people. That was illuminating to me, I think. And the other is the number of sins that today can be seen as virtues in some cultural context. That is alarming. And also, let lust off the hook, everybody. Come on.
Sure, yeah. Just roll around, have fun, splash around.
My
biggest takeaway was I learned what the 7 heavenly virtues were and that there were heavenly virtues. I legitimately had no idea that there was an offset. Of course there would be, but to all the 7 deadly sins. So yes, to say, did I learn something? I learned about the existence of an entire canon of thought. So that's very exciting.
Well, this is super fun. To answer the question that no one's asked yet, are we coming back?
Well, guys, yep.
Sorry.
Well, guys, good news, bad news. Yes, we are, and yes, we are. We do not know in exactly what capacity, if there's going to be a new theme, if we're going to stick with all the feelings. We don't know. It's willy-nilly, baby.
You never know.
We're just shooting from the hip here.
But I do know that we have already scheduled hiatus episodes for members. We've got 5 of those bad boys in the tank.
Yeah, so now is the time. If you're still thinking about becoming a feeling friend, now is the time to lock those in, because we're probably going to be eating and drinking weird things with our friend Mandy Kaplan. One would assume we're going to have all sorts of check-ins. We will get you through this dark podcastless winter together.
It might be insects.
Nope. Thank you, guys. I have been incredibly clear. I am never eating insects. I don't care what type of road warrior situation we end up at.
So you're saying there's a chance. Okay. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here and hanging out. This week's tune is Sin Control by Donna and Ty.
Thank you all so much for downloading and spending this season with us. It is an honor to be able to do this. Thank you for coming along. Until we speak again, I'm Tommy Metz III.
And I'm Pete Wright. And this has been All the Feelings, Sins, and Virtues.